Worth your attention now. The South African Weather Service urging residents in parts of the Eastern and Western Cape to be cautious and vigilant. In fact, they've issued a level 2 yellow warning, which could see the provinces experiencing strong, damaging gale winds. In fact, residents can expect fallen trees on the roads, for instance, and should be, in fact, aware of any runaway fires. The Weather Service says the development is due to the tight pressure between consecutive cold fronts and ridging high-pressure systems. Let's make sense of this for you now. Bring in the SA Weather Service forecaster, Mbavhalelo Maliage, who joins us via our telephone line this morning. And thanks for making time. It's great to have you on the program, Mbavi. Let's better place what people in these areas are likely to see. What can they expect?
Hi, good morning, and good morning to your viewers. Well, as you did mention, we have a yellow level 2 for damaging winds expected. This alert is mostly valid for today. As you did explain perfectly well, that there is a tight pressure gradient expected between the two cold fronts that are moving through. And so we are seeing winds and expecting winds to reach up to 30 knots in some places, which is around 60 kilometers per hour. And then in some places we're seeing up to 40 knots, which is around 80 kilometers per hour, especially along that coastal region of the Eastern Cape and also into the eastern interior of the Eastern Cape region. So this basically means that there is a high likelihood of some impacts that are expected, and some of the impacts that are expected for that area is a little bit of localized damages expected in settlements, especially to some of the structures that are not very strong. There may be some disruption to some transportation with strong winds due to objects being blown into the road, such as falling trees, and also especially with regards to the power lines, there may be some localized power disruptions and communication from the strong winds blowing along the power lines. The strong winds may also be expected to enhance the risk of runaway localized fires. Hence, there is an issue for if some high fire danger conditions expected and localized disruption, especially along the beach fronts, where there may also be a difficulty in navigation expected for vessels along the sea, especially close to the coastal regions and also further into the ocean.
Yeah, typically when there are floods that we expect, people are advised to avoid low-lying areas. What's the advice for winds, for gale force winds? Do you want to avoid high-lying areas in that context?
Well, it depends on where the areas obviously, the areas where they are being impacted. But in terms of that, it is mainly, especially with the smaller cars, it is advised to not be driving in areas where they are affected if it's possible. If you're unable to not drive, if you're unable to stay at home and you're forced to drive, it is important that you are aware, because especially if the wind does start gusting, the gusts can actually reach up to 90 kilometers per hour. So you need to be very aware of that. We do advise people to stay off the road, also to be aware of the fact that if they do go on to beaches, that this will be the effects that are expected from these strong winds. So it is always best to avoid the areas that are impacted with these strong winds, but if you can't, that people need to be aware that this is the impact that they can expect from these strong winds.
Yeah. How uncharacteristic is this of our weather patterns? I mean, we're learning more and more, for instance, about how changing patterns, even in the global north, are having an impact on us here in the south. Is this expected or something we should worry about in the future?
No, this is expected, especially now that we are affected by the frontal systems. We're now moving into full force winter, and these are the systems that normally affect such areas with the high pressure that reaches in beyond the cold front, and strong winds are normally expected. Sometimes they do extend from the coastal regions of the Western Cape, and then they spread along the south coast and going along the coastal regions of the Eastern Cape. So this is definitely the season for it. So you'll definitely be seeing more impacts from strong winds, and then sometimes even associated with some high waves along those coastal regions.
Mbavhalelo Maliage, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Really appreciate your making time. Mbavhalelo is a forecaster with the South African Weather Service. On to this now. So the globe has marked